Hey guys, Level Cap here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the JNG 90. Now this is the new bolt-action sniper rifle that comes with the Close Quarters expansion pack. And to unlock this gun, you first need to unlock the M417, which requires 10 tugs assist and 20 flag captures. Then once you've unlocked the M417, you need 50 sniper rifle kills, which you can actually get with the M417. And then you also need to win 3 rounds of Conquest Domination on the new Close Quarters maps. Now you can see here I'm using the iron sights on the JNG 90, which are actually, they're useful. They're not like the best sights in the world, but I can definitely get some kills with it. Now the gun starts out with the 7x scope on it, which is usable, and I do use it a little bit in this video, but I find it easier for me when starting out to get kills to just use the iron sights. I've never been a huge fan of zoom-in weapons in this game, and you guys will know that sniping is not exactly my specialty. Now my personal favorite scope, which I don't get for a while in this video, is the PK-A, which is a 3.4x magnification scope, and I feel like that one is enough zoom for me to be pretty accurate at long ranges. It's not an 8x scope or 7x scope. But it also gives me pretty good visibility even when you're zoomed in. You don't get this big black ring around where you're aiming, so you're not just kind of tunnel vision. You have zoomed in vision, but you still get to see around the outside of the scope. And I really like having that when I zoom in. Unfortunately, you don't get that scope till you're about 150 kills into this gun. And sniper rifles seem to be pretty affected by what scope you're able to use with them, so it can be a little bit of a challenge working with the iron sights and different scopes up until you get to a scope that you're comfortable with. And everybody knows that being a sniper is not an easy thing to do. I mean, a lot of players like to sort of camp back with them and not really help out the team, and to be a good effective sniper you kind of have to be up in the field a little bit more. So having a scope that's usable both at range and maybe closer range is very essential to me. And let me apologize if you guys hear any of the construction noise. They're tearing apart the apartment upstairs for me, so you guys are probably going to hear some banging and loud noises and stuff like that for the next few videos, because they're doing this, I believe, all week. But I've got the laser pointer on here right now, and the laser pointer increases your hip fire and can also sort of blind your opponents that you're aiming for, which can actually be pretty useful in a sniper duel, but it also gives away your position at longer ranges. Now since we're playing team deathmatch here, I thought I would use the laser pointer to try and give me an edge. Now one thing that not a lot of people know is that the SV98 actually has the best hipfire capabilities of any of the sniper rifles. So if you actually are trying to work in close range a little bit more, or close quarters, the SV98 is a great option, especially for like team deathmatch style rounds where you expect to run into a few guys up close and personal and you might want to try hip firing them. Then the SV98 is your best bet, because the JNG 90 has the same pretty much hipfire spread as most of the other rifles, so you're kind of it's a big chance hip firing this gun in close quarters. It might hit, it might not. Now I've heard a few people who use the JNG 90 for the first time saying like, oh my god, it's so good, or perhaps people getting shot by it in close quarters and getting one-shotted and saying the JNG 90 has just been buffed and it's crazy powerful and it's better than the M98B in terms of damage and all this stuff. Well, that is actually not true at all. In fact, the JNG 90 is most similar to the L96. Now the gun is actually pretty darn good. In fact, I would say, in my opinion, it's better than the L96, and I also think the L96 better than the M48-5. Those guns, those 3 guns, L96, M48-5, and JNG 90, are extremely similar in stats. Their damage, drop off and over range is basically identical. Their rate of fires are extremely similar. Their magazine capacity is identical. So there's only very small minute differences between those 3 guns. In fact, if you're used to the M40A5 or the L96 or even the SV98 or M98B, it's going to be a very easy transition into the JNG 90. Now, despite their similarities, there are differences, and hardcore snipers who have been using sniper rifles for like the entire history of Battlefield 3 and know them very well and are very used to their rate of fire and all that stuff, they probably will be able to tell subtle differences. When comparing the JNG 90 to the L96, which it almost represents identically in terms of stats, it does fire a tiny bit faster. The L96 fires 43 rounds per minute if you're firing as fast as it can, and the JNG 90 fires 46. This is a very, very tiny difference. We're talking like one round every 1.3 seconds for the JNG 90 and one bullet every 1.4 seconds for the L96. So they're extremely tiny differences. Now another area where the JNG 90 pulls ahead of the L96 is in bullet velocity, clocking in at 560 meters per second while the L96 clocks in at 540 meters per second. It's a small difference, but faster traveling bullets mean you don't have to lead quite as much in front of your target that's when it's running, and there's also going to be a little bit less bullet drop over range. Now the only area where the JNG 90 seems to fall short compared to the other bolt-action sniper rifles is that it has a slightly higher vertical recoil for each shot. But for bolt-action sniper rifles, you have so much time to recover in between shots that it's not a huge difference. The only place I can find in the game that this might affect is basically if you're zoomed in using your straight pull bolt so that you don't have to zoom out between reloading. Your scope's going to kick back a little bit higher than the other sniper rifles every time you fire. Not a huge issue. So the JNG 90 actually also pays a little bit for its higher bullet velocity and faster rate of fire by having a longer reload time. In fact, the reload time is identical to the M98B, clocking at 2.9 seconds with a bullet still in the chamber and 4.7 if you fired all your rounds. The L96 reloads at a pretty quick 2.6 seconds if there's a bullet still in the chamber. Now the damage model, which is identical to the L96 and M48-5, is a maximum damage of 80 in close quarters, and you get a small modifier to upper chest damage. So if you hit a guy in close range in the upper chest instead of the head, you will still manage to pull off a one-shot kill, which all bolt-action, actually all sniper rifles get that ability. Also, the drop-off damage goes down to 59, so no matter what range you fire at, a headshot is going to be a one-shot kill. So would I recommend the JNG 90? Well, if you're a big fan of the L96 and you like that a lot before DICE messed up the sights with it a few patches ago, I would say use the JNG 90 over the L96. It's got a little bit higher kickback and the reload time is a fraction of a second longer, but the faster bullet velocity and the slightly faster rate of fire, I think, makes it trump the L96. Now that's my personal feelings on the matter, it's my personal preference, but I really don't think there's a lot pulling people away from the JNG 90 towards the L96. However, I've been a big fan of the M98B, and the M98B just has a great damage model, but it also has some trade-offs. So instead of using the 80 maximum damage down to 59 minimum damage, the M98B uses a 95 maximum damage down to 59 minimum damage, and it has a much longer, well, it has an increased range drop-off. So the other guns drop off all the way out to 100 meters, while the M98B drops off all the way to 120 meters. It also has the highest bullet velocity of any of the bolt-action sniper rifles. Now the rate of fire is kind of right in the middle. In fact, the rate of fire is almost identical to the JNG 90 at 46, but the damage model being a maximum at 95 damage basically means that if you don't get an upper chest or headshot in close quarters, you're still going to be doing 95 damage, while the other guns are going to be doing 80. Now, 95 is a great number because if somebody's just jumped off a ledge or maybe just took a tiny little bullet or a wing here or there and took 10 damage or something, well, they're dead then. I find I get much more one-shot kills that are not headshot kills with the M98B, and that's an extremely important thing when you're running with a bolt-action sniper rifle because you often don't get time for a second shot. Now, if you're the world's best marksman and all your shots are just hitting in the head, and you don't really need the M98B to one-shot guys, you can do it with any other bolt-action sniper, then there is actually a pretty big pull towards the JNG 90 because it has the increased clip capacity, magazine capacity before anybody freaks out, of 11 bullets, while the M98B has 6. So you've got more rounds before you have to reload, and the reload time is something to factor in if you're a pretty aggressive sniper. But the JNG 90 is basically the second best thing to the M98B at long range because of its incredibly fast bullet speed. Alright, I don't think I can make this review any more long-winded. Sniper rifles are just so similar, it's really hard to nitpick all the little differences out of them. But in conclusion, if you're not a fan of the M98B's magazine capacity, but you still want a bolt-action sniper rifle that's amazingly good at long ranges, then go with the JNG 90. It's a little bit better than the other bolt-action sniper rifles at long range. That's it for the weapon review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please rate the video, and I'll see you guys next time. This is LevelCap, signing off.